Welcome to the DHH Insight Series, where we will be talking about practical strategies for writing IEP goals. My name is Kelly Dunham, and I am one of the DHH education consultants on the team at Michigan Department of Education, Resource for Deaf and Hard of Hearing. The learner objectives for this webinar are on the screen for you to review. We will begin the webinar today with a review of official guidance documents that are available on the topic of annual goals and short-term objectives. Annual goals and objectives that are measurable are required by the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act and the Michigan Administrative Rules for Special Education. The United States Department of Education published an additional guidance document in the form of a Dear Colleague letter in 2015 that states individualized education program, or IEP goals, must be aligned with grade level content standards for all children with disabilities. One takeaway from these guidance documents is that state standards are not annual goals, nor should they be written that way for students with IEPs. Rather, the goals of an IEP should focus on what skills a student needs to develop in order to achieve or move closer to achieving a particular standard. When we look at official guidance, there is also the Andrew F. case, when the United States Supreme Court came to a unanimous decision in 2017 that in order to meet the obligation under IDEA, a school must offer a child with an IEP that reasonably calculated to enable the child to make progress. This ruling highlights that IEPs must be appropriately ambitious in light of the child's circumstances, and that every child should have the chance to meet challenging objectives. Therefore, the minimum amount of growth is not an appropriate expectation. Michigan Department of Education Office of Special Education, or OSE, has two updated guidance documents on goals and objectives. One of those documents is on procedural compliance for writing annual goals. And the second document is a supplemental resource for goal writing as an educational benefit. These documents also highlight the frequency of progress monitoring is an IEP team decision. Both of these guidance documents were updated in February of this year and are available online. We know that smart data leads to smart goals. So let's break down what is meant by specific, measurable, apparent, relevant, and time-bound aspects of goals over the course of the next few slides. When we approach writing SMART goals, we have to start with the present level of academic achievement and functional performance, or PLAF, and the current data. To make the skill specific, there is guidance that suggests we should avoid vague words like improve, understand, learn, and instead use observable actions such as identify, solve, read, write, follow, answer, etc. Every goal should provide an answer to how will we know the student has met it. Therefore, there must be some kind of clear measurement as well. For example, an accuracy rate, 85% over 3 consecutive trials, or with no more than one prompt. When we talk about measurement, if you are using teacher-created documents as the tool for measurement, best practice is to always think about, can someone else pick up this IEP and implement it? Goals need to be realistic and attainable. The purpose of annual goals is that meaningful progress can be completed within a year's time. To make goals relevant, they need to be connected to the functional or academic impact. So for example, the access to general education curriculum, improving communication, building independence. And lastly, goals must include conditions or timing. They need to specify how or when the skill will occur, such as by documented teacher observation, by student work, etc. The two guidance documents from Office of Special Ed that were referenced earlier on the slide offer this goal writing formula that measurability equals current level plus the set or set of skills, skill or set of skills, a target, and a method of measurement. Another way we can look at that is that when there's a condition plus a skill and behavior, the criteria for success, a method, and a timeline, then we have ourselves a SMART goal. So for example, using the information on the slide, we could say, given a grade level reading passage, the student will answer inferential comprehension questions with 80% accuracy in 4 out of 5 trials, as measured by documented teacher observation and student responses by the end of the IEP year. Cover all of those components. Goals are specific skills or targets that the student will master within 1 year's time. Short-term objectives, on the other hand, are either benchmarks or the short-term steps that we will need to take, the student will need to take in order to achieve the annual goal. The image on your screen just talks a little bit about progress monitoring. We know that progress monitoring is everything in between establishing baseline data and the criteria set for the annual goal. It truly is the path from baseline to achieving the goal. And as the image depicts, that's a whole process, and there's a lot that goes into that. As providers, we must ask ourselves the question, what is the purpose of our data collection? The purpose of progress monitoring is to determine whether a student is making progress towards their current IEP goals. Therefore, if assessments are needed to progress monitor, IEP teams can collect data without additional consent. However, if assessments are desired or new information is being sought out, new information to help update any part of the IEP, written parental consent for that evaluation is required. The goal of this webinar today is to support school personnel with official guidance and resources and apply them to real-world situations to support effective and strong IEP goal writing, turning insights into action.